Get in the game with the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Bet on the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, soccer, golf, MMA, and more. Every sport, every market, right at your fingertips. Deposit instantly with PayPal, Venmo, or Apple Pay, starting at just $10. Win big and cash out fast. PayPal in 24 hours or instantly at retail sportsbooks. Available in over 20 states, FanDuel's app is your ticket to the action. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now.
Okay, so let's do this because there's narratives. There's narratives out there between our show and the show you do with Vince. All right, and these are the two narratives.
Yes.
The narrative on your show is that everything in the WWE sucks, like literally everything.
So the correct narrative.
The narrative in our show is everything in the WWE is great. Okay, so I want to get you on with us so our audiences can share us doing actual review of the show. To see what people like what is actually coming out there, what is actually happening.
I appreciate that. And I'll treat that with the respect of the invitation if that's what you're looking for, because I think that's a great common ground. Yeah.
You're going to find us agreeing on most everything, probably, except like just our basic general narrative, with which I think you would disagree, but we'll get to that.
Let me interject this, Disco, because I think it's more fair to say this. I know you discuss narratives. All we do, Ben, even though I work there, I'm not a show for them. All we do is what we like, we put it over, and what we don't like, we right. You know what I'm saying? Both shows.
I get worried for Konnan sometimes because I think he's burying the product too much. That they might like say something to him for being too critical of stuff like that. So it's
but you guys get excited? Do you guys get pumped up when those new videos drop of the CCO?
Oh, this reaction videos
and opening trading cards with a fishing fillet knife. Do you guys look forward when those drop? Is that one here?
I've never seen that.
No, you haven't seen that.
Right, so let's go this.
Two grown men over 40 and 50 opening trading cards.
I've never seen that, Ben.
Woo! Yeah. It's a good good segment.
So here's so they start off Raw with Jimmy Uso and our Backstage, and LA Knight comes up on him immediately because of what happened last week. So they follow up on that. And they get pulled apart, and Pierce ordered Jay Knight to go to his office. Right? All right, I always look at because here's the thing. Well, this is one of the things you and Vince do talk about. Okay, you say they have no stories and stuff, everything. To me, the stories are not that compelling, but this is storyline progression. That's what we try to look like. So with the way the show ended last week with LA Knight and Jimmy Jey Uso. So they come in the building today, and they immediately pick up from the point that they left off, and they're carrying over that storyline. All right, so that to me,
I like that.
Well, they're saying a storyline progression. Would you agree this is storyline progression?
I don't know about progression, but I think justification. Let me just back up to last week and the choice before the story that they're trying to tell, which I don't understand. You pair Jimmy back up with Jay, so that levels Jay down from main event back to tag team. That pro were the greatest tag team again. Meanwhile, LA Knight's on the rise doing the Austin bit. They're both in the commercial for Slim Jim. Why would you have one babyface turn on another one when we haven't even done the Mega Powers Slim Jim run as the guys who are the faces of the company? In storyline and wrestling psychology, LA Knight ran in to save them while they were in duress. I would take that if I was to liken that to the Wyatt Earp and the Earp brothers are there at the OK Corral, and here comes Doc Holliday. In this scenario, after Doc Holliday helps the Wyatt Earp turns and shoots Doc Holliday. That's not how the story goes down. So the choice of turning Yeet on LA Knight on the Slim Jim logo is some of the dumbest business choice I think you could have made in the 10 Ways to Skin the Cat. Now, this opening scene, does it further what a bad choice that was? Yes, in the short.
Well, let me put this, because we talked about this like literally we foreshadowed this like maybe 3 months ago. And they have a problem in the show, but they don't have heels.
No one has heat. Nobody on the show has heat.
It's like they all of a sudden they got all these baby faces, and everybody's a baby face. It's like, and then like there's like the two biggest, like I think beyond Seth, that little faction. Now I heard that because there was some blood spot they did on a show, Gunther had heat. Okay, he's had been on TV forever. So it's like, dude, they don't have a lot of heels. So what do you do?
You got a guy like Kaiser. You got a guy like Kaiser who should be playing two characters to get the Americano,
Right, so
Grande
it's like-
Americano over, and himself is the German
Right.
nihilist character.
Right. So them noise got a heat. So, okay. So then they go to John Cena comes out, cuts a.
if
So let me just
wrestling
say something
go ahead, please.
Let me just say something about what you said, Ben. So you make very good point. They did the Slim Jim commercial, and they should have done the superpower thing. They did miss a big thing there. I have the feeling, without really knowing, because I'm not in those discussions, but I have a feeling that they just told, Jay, we're going to put Jimmy with you to help him because he's cold as ice. All right. And we're going to give you a heel turn, and you may end up being the number one heel, because he's not going to be the number one babyface with Cody there and CM Punk there. It's just not going to happen politically or professionally. You know what I'm saying? So I think they said, we can make you the number one heel right underneath Gunther. Maybe. Is that something that you would?
Yeah, but here's the whole problem with the perception. Okay. All of this just comes across as they're the main eventers, but this is all B show.
Right.
It's like the B show main event. It's like
You can
all the
have
characters right now are like the B show main eventer. So there's not a lot of interest in this
You
stuff.
can have B show people be the interest. So you can have the subplot storyline be the lead storyline, like Christopher in The Sopranos. No, didn't always have to be Tony, right? Like you were as involved with that character. But like you said, we're in the opening seg, so I'm sorry to keep pausing this, but that is saving last week's C-level choice. So now we're down a road that is not going to pay off like other things would. And then if you healed on a guy last week out of nowhere, you're shaking his hand at the end of this show so then he can pay it back 50-50 and look, he got in on you. Like, that's not long-term turning a guy heel.
And you knew where it was going too. It's like you can see the stories a million miles away. So John Cena comes out and cuts a promo. And this was just a generic babyface promo because he's coming into this town. It's like his hometown. His college was there. But the gist of it was, he's asked if he's afraid of Lesnar. Yes, I am. Could I fail? Yes, I could. Will I back down? Will I give up? Hell no. We'll take the fight to the beast because that is what we do. Cena said he doesn't give a damn how many suplexes are in his city, and he founded Suplex City and has taken Lesnar's best shots for 20 years. And that Cena pointed out a fan sign that said his jorts are stronger than Lesnar's jeans. And that was just and this was kind of just like a generic babyface promo. And like, in the big picture, once the show is over, this is another segment that like you looked at the show and said really nothing happened on this show. Because all John Cena did come out was just a good babyface promo, but it didn't this was a good promo, but I'm like, all right, after this didn't get me interested in him and Brock anymore. Well, what about you, Konnan?
No, yeah, it didn't get me more interested in him and Brock, but I'm already interested when Brock came out and F5'd them. And, and I think that for me, I'd never heard this chant before. People were chanting, whoop his ass. I never heard that. But anyways, he's in Massachusetts. That's his home state. He knows how to cut a go-home promo. This was a go-home promo, which was just filler, but the people were hot. They were happy. And if you can get John Cena to cut a promo for you in his last year of wrestling, that's an A. That's an A for me. But go ahead, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, that showed how small that gym was, but I like that intimate experience. So lucky on those people to experience that. And they were hot with it because it's his hometown. But to me, on a go home, a heel needs heat if we're going to pay it off, and Cena's going to continue. So this was just a simple thrown together segment for Cena to do what he's done for 25 years. And it really didn't get much accomplished. Whereas on SmackDown, we had Brock. Go ahead, please.
Ben, I think the problem we have is that guys like Lesnar, guys like Roman, and who knows who in the future, they're like, hey, I'm going to do 5 dates or 6 dates and that's it. And you got to pick them. You know what I'm saying?
All the over guys are part-timers. So there's not a lot of continuity.
If you're a booker, right? And you got Brock Lesnar to come back, and he doesn't like people, and you know how he's antisocial, right? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it, but I'll give you these 6 dates. And you say, all right, I'll take what I can get.
And
I think that's what
not the Horowitz here, but I would look at that as a booker, as a creative, and go, here's what I have him for. and here's what I need for him to get heat. He got it on R-Truth, and they try to do an improv scene back and forth. Who are you? You can't leave Brock to his own accord in that. It has to be plotted out. That was silly and stupid on SmackDown. However, the intention
100%.
was the right thing. Isn't John Cena's dad John Cena Sr.? If Brock is on the hunt for him, that should have been this whole show. And he's looking for John Cena Sr., and John Cena Sr. is there in the crowd, almost gets his hands on him. Here comes R-Truth. We turn it into a comedy bit about Ron Cena, get heat on him, then John comes in for the big pop. Or you get heat on his dad and lay him out. So we have some heat going into the pay-per-view. Instead, we have these guys on two separate shows doing really nothing segments to interact with each other. So there's no real need to this match to see who's going to Suplex City. There's simple writing things right there. And Brock has zero heat going in, and Cena's scared, so he's like the everyman. Like, that's an easy promo, and it's lazy creative, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, so next was Lyra Valkyria against Roxanne Perez. For some reason, I think I've seen these girls. I don't know. I'm not really into the Lyra Valkyria stuff, but she wrestles Roxanne Perez. She beats her. She gets attacked by Raquel Rodriguez, who throws her back inside the ring. So Bayley comes running out. So she's been doing this deal where she's got the angel and devil on each shoulder, getting in her head. So last week she said she's going to help do good for Roxanne. So she comes in and helps Roxanne, and then just goes around and starts hugging everybody. And Valkyria looks confused. And this would work better if Bayley's doing fine with what they're giving her here, but the other girls can't act very well. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's time for the facials and stuff and everything, you just get like green characters like Lyra in this. So I'm looking at Bayley's character has a personality disorder now, so I'm interested to see what they do with that each week. But they're using trying to get Lyra Valkyria over. And it's like, bro, Bayley's I don't know. This seems like they're working her with the mid card girls, trying to elevate the mid card girls, but Bayley wasn't over for like she was so devalued with that damage control thing, and everything. Like I don't know. This is I want to see where they're going with it, but I'm just not interested in the Lyra Valkyria stuff. So, what about you, Ben?
Who are you talking to? Me or Ben?
Oh, yeah, I would agree that these girls are green and they have very amateur acting chops. That's what my whole purpose of wanting to get in this business is to be the acting coach at that level and bring improv to it. So what you're seeing is them being pushed through the meat grinder, being given a hat and told they're great and get them on TV, and they'll learn on the road. It takes another 8 years before you even start to and maybe invest in yourself. With the Bayley stuff, it's an interesting character, but you're pretty much saying, are you a paranoid schizophrenic? Do you have bipolar disorder? You can be a WWE superstar. Like they're showing somebody who has an extreme mental disorder and hearing voices and now she's fine every week. What does make me laugh, because I write it in my own mind, is this, I know they're just going back to the hugger thing, but all those marks got so close to Rhea Ripley in France or wherever it was. This is the opposite. Now WWE superstars are going to aggressively assault the fans and hug them before they get a chance to rub their crotches on you. So I think this is an interesting tactic that she's taken when it comes to those girls in the ring and what they can do. But after watching Brett and Austin chain wrestle for 5 minutes with no standoff spot earlier in the day, now to watch these girls just do spot after spot after spot after spot and think it's chain wrestling and make their own comeback out of nowhere, it's hard for me to sit there and watch it, having Rip Rogers in my... Dude,
do you watch these matches?
Yeah, dude. People want to hear.
Do you
what
really?
A pro like
I fast forward through all these. I fast forward all these matches.
Nobody can have a match without. There's 5 dives on a show. There's 5 dives. Right. There's 3 table spots. There's not one hammerlock story.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's not one backslide. There's none of that, dude. It's just spot.
I watch a show, and in these matches, it's the second I see the playful thigh slaps and everything, I just start. I fast forward and didn't wait to see the finish. Konnan,
but then I watched Drew McIntyre and Randy, and it's A+ work. You know what I mean? Like, how can we have a tale of two shows when it comes to the wrestling of classic OVW guys versus the FCW NXT meat grinder false positive college of you're a good worker now. You're not. You're really not. And it's not your fault.
What do you think of this?
Yeah, I'm not into this because at least Roxanne Perez is in Judgment Day, and she has what do you call this character?
Flip personality.
Not progression, but character development. Where Lyra has none. They've put her first with Becky. She really didn't get over. Now they're putting her with Bayley. Like they really like her, like they like Gargano and Ciampa. Like even though they don't get over, they keep pushing him and pushing him. The match didn't mean anything. I mean, the premise was that, Perez distracted Valkyrie against her match against Rodriguez last week. Big deal. Every match is a distraction. If you did it every now and then and it would mean something, it meant nothing. Every match has interference from somebody. I mean, it just dilutes its effect, And then afterwards, for her to get her heat back, the Judgment Day after Roxanne left, beat the hell out of Lyra Valkyrie, and I still wasn't, entertained. They did have a good match last year, so I wanted to watch this. It's the Bayley character to be determined, you say, Ben, people are thinking everybody is deluded, and it's just one person, and how many people out there don't have mental issues. But I just want to see what they do with this because I thought the promos were good. And you got to also remember, and I say this to Disco all the time, bro, we're guys that have been watching wrestling for over 40 years, have been in the business, have been in creative, have wrestled. We have a clinical eye and we see things people don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say one good thing about the Bayley thing, even it was a little follow-up sketch. And I like these types of things. She had a shirt on, half was white, half was black. You get the dual personality, black hat, white hat, good, evil, and your Freemason symbolism all in one nice slice of visual, Can I put this question by you that I've cut enough rants on, but I'd like to get your opinion on it, Konnan, is when very proud Latino wrestlers who speak English very well don't have confidence in their promo skills and they slide back into Spanglish like she will, Rodriguez. To me, that is a crutch, the way I see it, and it takes me out of the scene because I go, she's not confident, doesn't believe what she's saying, and we slide back into it. Do you see it as that, or am I misjudging it, and should I be looking at it with, she's just trying to fire up the Latino heat in herself, but to me, it doesn't come off as that, and it's not just her.
I don't know.
There's other performers I've seen do that as well.
She's not an interesting character. Before she used to come out and smile and do a lap pose and that was it. But at least she has some purpose. I just don't think her Spanish is that good, and so she knows how to speak Spanish, but you can tell there's like a funny accent there and she doesn't do it with confidence. But that's me because I'm Latino and I can catch that. I'm fine with them speaking Spanglish because that's a language that second generation Latinos speak, like Eddie spoke it, I spoke it, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what we grew up on.
But you guys seem confident in whenever you're doing Arriba or Asa, or you're just getting everybody fired up and doing that.
Right.
This seems like it's always a slide back. Like I got 2/3 of the way through my promo. I'm starting to drown. I don't know how to take it home. So I'm going to do a little something that way, And I say, that's something she really needs to go away from and to make her weakness into her strength. Right. You know what I mean?
All right, guys, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna call. We've talked about this match enough.
Sorry.
Next was Asuka and Stephanie Vacker and Io Sky are in the office, and they're signing they had their contract signed, so they're shaking hands. And Asuka and Kairi Sane enter the room, and Asuka kind of dismisses Vacker and told him she won't be ready for Sky. Vacker told her to get her out of her face. She said that since Vacker thought she was so good, she would face Kairi Sane. So Pierce booked the match. Oh, Ben, I don't know what you think, okay? But me and Konnan have said, I think this storyline they've done with Asuka, Kairi, and Io Sky has actually been compelling because it's character development, because Asuka is the pimp character, and Kairi and Io are their two like scared little subservient things. But what it's done is, it's actually, Asuka's been getting Rhea's face and all these other top girls' face. It's actually made Asuka kind of a more formidable heel character, like the way she's doing this. And I think she's been doing. I think these girls, even though their English is terrible, that's another thing I want to bring up. But I've been interested in this because they're not acting all silly and goofy and screaming all the time. That they're actually doing. You have defined characters here, in my opinion, with the Asuka being kind of the pimp. The pimp is what basically
we're talking about
that's
playing the status game. I agree with everything you're saying.
Right.
This is my favorite thing on the show because I was raised by Looney Tunes post World War. So Asian stereotype pops me from being a little kid. And this is easy. They don't need to speak English. You see what the hierarchy is in the game of I cut the promo, getting people's face. Kairi is the weak one. Yeah. And that is also true. That is also true to kabuki style theater. If you know about the foundations of that.
Geisha girls.
Yeah. And they're not as subservient as geishas, but it is a overacted style of theater and face paint style. But there was one promo Asuka did from like a hotel room, or might have been her house. And it seemed like a reality show sit down reveal, right? And she talks about their time in Japan where when they came to the US, she let them be like equals to them. But in Japan, the structure is because Asuka came first, those girls would always be her young boy type subservient in the wrestling mafia. And they're playing that out. So when I knew that piece of it and I watch what they're trying to do, even though they can say Rhea Ripley 100 times in a row and I'm going to laugh every time. Like, I do like what they're doing. They've set up a game and they keep playing that game out.
I want to ask you, were you mad when they did that thing where all the Looney Tunes characters came out and broke kayfabe, where like Roadrunner was right by Bugs Bunny, and you're like, aren't you guys supposed to be enemies? Remember that?
I don't remember when they were going.
Do you remember that or no? Okay, so was
it a 10 bell salute for Wile E. Coyote or no?
No. It was like the finish or the beginning of the program, and dun 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 dun, and they would all come out. You know, almost like, remember when WWE did that rock concert, whatever, and you know, like Hogan's there and Iron Sheik is there, and you're like, even though the song was good and McMahon was a maniac.
Stand back. That's the best,
right?
bro.
But do you remember that the heels were kind of with the? And you were like,
power of music, Konnan. Who are you to say that music doesn't calm the savage beast and make you pick up a trumpet and start playing in the background? You know,
right? Even though your enemy's right behind you. Go ahead, Disco.
All right, we gotta pick up the pace here because.
Go ahead.
So next was
this guy's really
next was Penta versus Kofi, and this was just they had Waller and everybody out there, and Penta goes over strong and left the heels.
Can I say one thing about Penta that'll probably I want like Conan's opinion on? I hate the stupid ban the flipping pile driver. What's it called?
Mexican Destroyer.
Mexican Destroyer.
The Canadian Destroyer is what it is.
The thing that but with him doing it, the Mexican Destroyer. That's not the thing that everyone should be selling. When he first came in, and what I think is an awesome move is that arm snap. The arm snap would be popping guys' shoulders out and everybody could sell it, right? A lot easier than a concussion head wound from a Mexican Destroyer. The move should have been that he dislocates guys' arms, and it's scary to even get in there with him, and that's the one.
I just think that if you dislocate a guy's arm, you can't use him the next week. And maybe that's the reason.
I agree. And then we could get to one arm tied behind our back match. We could get to.
Yeah, but if you dislocate it in 4 weeks, Grande Americano, and I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Insert 3 names.
Yeah, get 4 guys that all got one arm, and they finally get them down to hold on to it, and you do the do him, and somebody stomps his shoulder.
I'm more. Yeah, I'm more concerned the way they booked, and he came in hot, and right now he's very, very.
But he's selling crazy masks, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Disco.
Okay, so next was they go backstage, and Jimmy and Jay are backstage, and Jay's telling Jimmy, "There's no way you have to say no to LA Knight for being his tag team partner because LA Knight wanted Jimmy to do it." And Jimmy said, "I don't take orders from you. There's no rule of follow around your neck." So then he goes over and finds LA Knight, tells LA Knight, "I got you back. Let's go. Let's do this." So you can see Jimmy and Jay are
I
Jimmy,
like
Jimmy,
this.
Jimmy threw it out there a couple weeks ago. It says, you're acting like Roman. And it's him again, like to bring it up. You're acting, there's no rule of follow.
Right. You're acting like it.
Roman. So that's.
And I like this. I do like this because to me, I've seen so much wrestling. Me and Disco are very alike in this. We like promos and we like angles. If I see there's going to be a good match, like I knew that Phoenix and Sami Zayn was going to be a good match on SmackDown, and it was, I watched that. You know what I'm saying? But I like this because you don't know where it's going, and it looks like he's going to turn heel.
Yeah, I don't mind it either, and these guys can deliver, but again, this is middle school quality creative to me. I would have rather had a 15-second, 30-second upfront thing, and they act like it's over, and they're mic'd, and we act like we get a secret off camera where they're breaking kayfabe, and we get that audio and the camera's still
like
on.
Like a hot mic?
Yeah, hot mic, catching them saying would make it way more real to punch this scene up.
I agree.
All right, so next is okay. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this, but Punk, AJ, and Becky and Seth had a promo battle in the middle of the ring that went on forever. Was to me very awkward, kind of choppy, and not really going anywhere. It ended up with Seth basically Seth thinking that Becky was going to step up to AJ Lee because AJ Lee slapped Seth. AJ Lee backed off, like, look, I'm not going to do it. And they powder out. So she sneaks back in the ring and lays out AJ Lee. Okay. And this segment ends up with Becky in the ring, smacking Punk in the face again and powdering out. And it was, bro, they talked forever. And it wasn't one lot of heat. It's like, I don't know. What did you think of this, guys?
It went on too long.
And it didn't really have a lot of pops in there. Like it's just,
well, they felt we got 4 superstars in front of a hot crowd and a go home show, which was good booking. They needed to put them together. At least they showed up to work. Okay. I was surprised by another chant I've never heard. AJ's husband, when she said, I'm a Puerto Rican from New Jersey and sometimes I shank, I was like, you don't look like you would do that, but who knows? I would have popped if they actually, somebody called the office and they were like, hey, AJ Lee just shanked Becky. We don't have to see it, but we hear about it. You know what I'm saying? But the crowd loves Lee. I was wondering after 10 years of not being there, if the new fans would take to her, but they like her a lot, but this was too long. It's almost like, hey, you got 20 minutes, say whatever you want. It doesn't seem like this is, what would be the word? There's structure to this. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't go over it beforehand. Nothing was written down. It was just everybody's off the dome. But I don't know. I don't really know. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think this is team over club that gets to do what they want. And when it's time for them to pull that amount of time, they're not ready for long-term scene work. They don't know the stakes. They think they get their little jokes in, and they're stupid. Sports Illustrated thinks so. And like that's heat it's just worn out. It's tired. And to sit there and do catch breaths and funny, let's watch them as their marriage breaks down and we'll do a pose for a meme. Like it's just pathetic. We've had storylines over friendship bracelets. This is the level that you dreamed of being as a pro wrestler one day. The epic story of the friendship bracelet. I just feel,
you know what I feel sometimes, Ben? You know what I feel sometimes? We're so over, it doesn't matter what we do or say. You know what I'm saying?
38-year-old woman dressing
like a mistake.
A 38-year-old woman dressing like a 12-year-old
people don't know she's 38.
Skipping
they
to
don't
the
put
ring.
Her age on the. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
But they don't know she's 38.
She's standing next to her husband who's got a salt and pepper beard, so that makes him look like
I know. Look 38. Yeah, man, he just bagged a young chick, but she don't look 38, and they don't put her age on the thing. So I'm not.
How about
look at
some
John
character
Cena,
development instead of coming out and going, I'm mentally unstable too, and I went to therapy, and all of you guys should too. Can anybody be the hero we need to live vicariously through instead of putting their victimhood on the line first? And
no, because today's generation, that's what they are. Look at, I don't want to get into the Kirk thing,
carry water.
But some guy was mad at whatever Kirk was saying and decided to shoot him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is this is a generation that doesn't date much.
That's very
but what I'm saying is, this is a weirder generation than ours.
Yeah. So why placate them?
A lot of guys have mental health issues.
Snap them into reality instead of saying, "Oh, everything's going to be okay," because when it's not okay, they're never ready for the downfall of it. Sometimes you got to get paddled by your old man after you done bad and thought you were going to get away with it. Everybody's gotten away with it for far too long.
All right, so next is Dom's getting interviewed backstage. There's a commotion over there, and the heels got their heat back here because Xavier Woods, Grayson Waller, and Kofi beat up Penta for beating them. So whatever. El Grande Americano gets Dragon Lee. The other Grande Americano tried to.
Can I say about the Grayson Waller thing, because this goes to what you guys want to talk about with the YouTube views and stuff like that. They go, he's got 24 signatures. If we had 93 million YouTube views, why would you not use that to get this guy over with digital signatures from around the world to sign to have him as a push and make him your Mr. Digital guy using those numbers instead of doing a rib thing and sticking him with New Day where nobody's getting over off of this?
So El Grande Americano against Dragon Lee, and this was the deal where AJ comes one of the other Americanos tries to interfere. AJ stops him. A third Americano interferes, and so there's 3 El Grande Americanos. They beat Dragon Lee, and yeah, whatever. Who are the other? Is Chavo Guerrero Jr. one of the Grande Americanos?
No,
he's not.
He's an agent.
That the guy had Chavo. It looked like Chavo.
It isn't.
Jr.
I guarantee you, it isn't.
But it's for some reason his body language.
It looked like him, but it wasn't him.
Yeah, it was like, but his body language.
He's a producer, dude.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I was wondering if they were just using him as one of the Grande Americanos out there. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't know what they're doing that. So, okay, so this is interesting. Lara Valkyria overheard Bayley yelling at somebody in her locker dressing room. So she knocks on the door. When she opens the door, Bayley's just calmly sitting there on the couch looking at her phone. Valkyria's kind of nervous, I guess, trying to get across there. Then Bayley stood up and yelled at Valkyria for barging into her dressing room after she was just being nice to her out in the ring. And she just cut a huge promo on her and told her to get out after she was like hugging everybody. So it's definitely
this to me is storyline progression. I liked it.
It was. No, it absolutely was. And it was kind of like, all right, because I didn't expect that spot. So that was all right. Okay, they're doing something with this. What do you think, Vin?
I think every married guy watching this can relate to that. When it's about 3 days before that time of the month, and 1 minute she's sweet to you, the next minute the dragon fire comes to burn your face off. So to me, no, this was character progression. It's silly as wrestling should be, and these are the small things that should be taken care of. Absolutely.
Yeah. Stephanie Vacker and Rhea Ripley had a thing backstage, and they shared their mutual respect for each other and wish good luck. And Stephanie wrestles Kairi, Sane, and Asuka's out there. Asuka pulled Sane to the floor, and Vacker went up to hit Sane and Asuka with a cross body block on the floor. And back in the ring, she performed the Devil's Kiss on Sane. And Vacker followed up with the SVB, scored the win. After the match, Asuka was about to enter the ring to confront Vacker, but Io Sky's music stopped her. And Sky ran out and stood between Asuka and Vacker. And Sky and Asuka bickered. Sky got Asuka to calm down. And a Mammy chant broke out, and Asuka exited the ring, and Sky offered Vacker a handshake, and Vacker accepted again. So,
Disco, I think if you do any more indies, if you would do any more indies, Disco, you got to take that Devil's Kiss and do it for heat, bro. On people.
Right. This is so now it's like we see Io is kind of standing up to Asuka a little bit more instead of being subservient, and this spot kind of progressed that. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I agree. They're playing out the business of the game inside the match. There's just some wrestling things that are too much spot on spot, people making their own comebacks, but aside from that.
But backstage, Sane held back Asuka while she was yelling at Sky, told her that she needed to do it by herself, and Asuka responded in Japanese and stormed away. Sane looked, this is a good line by Jason Palace, Sane looked mentally and physically exhausted, but she followed when Asuka yelled at her. Bro, that's like little stuff that like I like, because like they're doing it well. So Dominic and his crew were backstage, and they had champagne celebration at the clubhouse. McDonough toasted Dom as a double champion, and Balor told Dom he should pump the brakes on his victory lap. That Rodriguez and Perez had a tough night, but Rodriguez said they would take care of Lyra and Bayley just like Liv would have wanted. Then Balor took issue with Dom continuously getting help from El Grande Americano. Balor dropped his champagne glass and told Dom that he's a member of the Judgment Day. McDonough calmed down Balor, then asked Dom would Americano wants to return, and Dom asked if it was so crazy that Americano just wanted his respect because he's the king of the luchadors and the greatest Mysterio. Balor said it was crazy. He told him next time he wants help, he shouldn't come looking for them. And they left. And Dom told Rodriguez and Perez they would cool down and come back. And then Rusev showed up and offered Dom a handshake, and Dom said his hands are full. And he said, I am the next Intercontinental Champion. Enjoy your party.
Ben, this happened in Las Vegas when the show was over. And it happened now during this segment. In the background, you could hear the people saying, Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom. Like the people really like him.
Yeah, I think the big thing is for him to not play into that. Be an even better heel and make the smart marks love him for it. And never, I mean, that's how Eddie was.
That's what he's done so far.
Dude.
That's what he's done so far. I think he doesn't embrace being face.
He's my favorite performer in the entire WWE roster. Like, I think that the Judgment Day scenes are very poorly written. I think to keep writing them around Liv is wrong. They make it look like, I feel like Liv is dead. Like we're doing it for her memory. Like when people could be getting ahead, and I get it. It just feels way juvenile to me compared to where we could be. And that every one of those people in that crew could be shining more than what they are, but you got to.
Wouldn't disagree with that.
They're the squad that doesn't have the carte blanche to go, you got 20 minutes, go out and do whatever improv you want, right? So they're like, again, the tale of two shows. When those kids probably could carry it better than your alleged top stars can. So I think I had seen that he might have gone and got some stem cells or something that his back was, and I've been kind of watching him, and he's bumping on the other side a little bit more on his hip now. So my only hope is that they're not going to wear him out, do more with character. Hopefully he can do some yoga and things like that and help his spine because he is young. But once you start bumping on the other side, because the other one was your bad side, it goes downhill pretty quick. So more character, less bumps.
So next is the main event. Braun and what's her name beat Jimmy and LA Knight. Try to get heat on him after the match. Jey Uso comes down to save him with a chair, saves LA Knight. They shake hands, and everybody in the mother could see this coming a mile away. After they shake hands, LA Knight pulls him in, gives him the BFT finish, and lays him out again. So now they're just playing tit for tat, and that's how the show ended. Anybody, any comment?
Go ahead, Ben.
The best Raw since the week before.
You know what's fun too? This is like, I know this is the thing, dude. Like when Cody hit the ring at the end of the show, right? There's been like some situations where, Punk would be on the show just at the very end of the show. Like he's been there on, like he'll just come out for a run and everything. And dude, I honestly, because now that they're showing these highlights on ESPN, okay, I literally think they booked this show as like, okay, these are our ESPN highlight spots that they can show on the
Did you see yesterday the thing they did on WWE Disco?
Which one? No,
they did a package on them.
Yeah, of course they did, bro. They're all great because they're promoting their show for this weekend. So it's like that's a fascinating thing about the WWE is in the middle of this kind of like lame creative. It's kind of boring. They can still post enough of highlights on social media, on ESPN, everything, to the point that like I guess the people that, and I don't know the metrics on this, but for some inexplicable reason, they keep getting raises on their rights fees and networks. Everybody wants their content right now. And I'm just like, Vin, because I there was a thing the other day, because like, I know you're like, because the WWE, like everybody says like, okay, well, Fox got rid of them, right? And Fox, the one thing the Fox thing, because I read it, I looked into this. Fox said they weren't upset. They had no problem with the viewership. They had a problem with the fact that they just couldn't sell the ads, and they were losing like $200 million a year on the deal, right? So then I like looked at like everybody, like, to put things in perspective though. In 2023, just on their deal alone, like Fox lost money on their NFL rights. Like, so it's like the thing is like these companies are paying for this is the golden goose is the live content. Live content is king, and that's where these people are willing to pay for live content and willing to lose money on paying for the live content because for some reason I guess live content is golden. And that's like Netflix right now. The numbers aren't as good as they were, and they're going to get worse because of football. But Bro, the guy, the network sports editor, the sports guy in charge of sports, said they are very impressed with we have weekly live content. And I'm like, yo, it's like,
Ben,
dude, we thought that Tony Khan was the money mark. The networks are the money marks. Because they're like overpaid, exorbitant prices for this. And like, when we're all just going up on YouTube and Twitter and it's a highlight culture now. But for some reason, these networks are still paying this exorbitant amounts of money for this. And like, bro, it's not like WWE is not going to lose any popularity whatsoever because like they have all the casual fans now because the casual fans don't have to watch a show. They just watch them. They can just go on and spend 5 minutes and watch some highlights on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? They're keeping invested, but they're not watching the Netflix and they're not watching the USA Network.
so
You
Ben,
know? Good.
I'm watching Sports Center, right? To watch the baseball scores and all that. And all of a sudden, I see a package on WWE. I thought it was a commercial. No, it was part of the show. It was like a 5-minute package where they showed all the rivalries going to Wallapalooza or whatever, WrestlePalooza, right? And then they showed like all the stars. And this was produced by WWE, so it's top-notch, awesome. And then they showed like all the stars that have been at WrestleMania, Stephen A. Smith, Cardi B, Jelly Roll, you know what I'm saying? And bro, they do such a great job. You're going, holy, this is awesome. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing a great job now, being on sports, and I would have never thought that ever in my life. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you lay it out because they do use their synergy and their flywheel of corporate structure of media conglomeration to take it back to where we started today, to pump all that message out and condition their audience. And when you put phony wrestling next to real sports, that's the whole illusion to give it credibility.
But wait, I got to stop you there.
Please.
It's not phony wrestling. I'll tell you why. What's the last good movie you saw?
Oh, I mean, that's a tough one. Last thing I just watched was
I'll make
Superman.
it easier for you.
Easy.
What's the Superman?
Yeah, the new
Superman
one.
was the last good release. Okay, I thought that sucked.
It did.
Right.
I just watched it yesterday. I'm just trying to think what I just watched.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Did you see Iron Man? Because he was funny and all that.
Yeah, sure.
Did you like it or no?
Those comic movies aren't my bag, but yeah, I mean, it's eye candy.
Okay, did you like the Avengers when they were going up against the Thanos?
Sure. Again, same type of thing. I'm a Sopranos guy. I like mob movies, whatever.
Okay, so you're a Sopranos guy. All right.
Yeah.
So am I. I just binge watched The Sopranos last week. Okay.
Wonderful.
So it's fresh in my head. Bro, on the show, almost every show or every other show, they killed somebody, right?
Yeah.
Or they beat up somebody for sure. Okay, that really didn't happen. Nobody's really getting shot. Nobody's really getting beat up. But if the acting is good, if the directing is good, if the cinematography is good, you will suspend your belief and give yourself and go, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with wrestling. When there's a real good wrestling match, a good feud, good promos, bro, you'll invest. Same thing with UFC. How many times do you watch UFC or no?
Yes.
Okay. How many times have you seen two guys that you didn't give a about the fight, but when you saw their promo, you're like, I'm going to order this to see it. And so it's the same. It's no different than back in the day when Dusty Rhodes, when we were growing up, and I grew up in Miami, and you grew up in Buffalo.
Ali, all that to sell. We got to sell tickets.
Right. Well, exactly. So you can't call it phony wrestling because then you would have to say movies are phony. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the fact that we have it against next to a real sport. It's trying
next
to
a real for sport. Yeah, but bro, every sport guy wants to be in WWE.
Yeah, because they were conditioned as kids. Yeah, dude. I mean,
right? Because it looks cool, it looks fun.
Well, I'm not going to. I'll stooge it off that John Hartnett is a great friend of Hamin Media Group. He was the manager for American Top Team, and he came to Stevie and I for Colby Covington's creative that took him from an unknown to now he flies on Air Force One to Trump parties based off of a wrestling angle in UFC. So I agree with what you're saying of the pageantry of wrestling and what they want in sports, with guys in baseball having their own walkout songs now, right? Like that, all that goes on. So we do have influence. And I'm just saying, yeah, they use the flywheel of corporate culture. Even when I'm out in the delivery vehicle at Ravens Joint, I heard Raw results on Cumulus 95X station, which is all
How
under
weird is
that
that?
umbrella. You know what I mean? So they are using it for that. But then 5 minutes of highlights looks great. But then somebody tunes into the show and they got an hour and 50 minutes of kind of head scratching choices. Now you sold them a bad bill of goods. Now let's go to these execs. Jacob Ullman, who I talked to, along with Vince and Stevie on the call at Fox, said multiple times, we understand and we're looking for solutions after Vince laid out the laundry list of the bad bill of goods that they just overpaid billions of dollars for. In that time, it went from a 3.4 to a 3.1. We had our meeting. By the time it left Fox, it was at a 2.2, 2.1 before it shifted over to USA, where it's now down to a 1.1. The USA Network president listened and tried to have some influence. Jacob Ullman flat out said he was a fan and was taking pictures with Bray Wyatt in gimmick in the control room. How much do you really care about your product and salvaging it when you're more worried about the Instagram selfie than getting over the Friday the 13th character's reality of what you're investing in? That speaks volumes. Then this week, the ESPN guy who brokered the deal goes, I just had to tell him on the call I'm a huge fan right out of the gate. As soon as that happened, Bruce, Hayes, whoever else did this, and not a word needed to be said, right? These guys are pros at selling a bad bill of goods that will not deliver to ignorant fanboy executives who just want to go back to the boardroom and go, I got a deal done. I got a deal done. They fail upwards. They do not care about getting the ratings because they go, we've got live TV. It isn't that special. And then ratings go down. They already cashed their check. And they're already looking to the next sucker to bilk $1.5 million out of, to the fact that, you know what? Screw America and American fans in the history of WrestleMania. It's Riyadh season, Daddy. They got $1 trillion. And guess where we're going? Because it's good business to do a bought house show for a company that
right. But Ben, you're missing a huge point, though. They're still
executives
drawing
are
huge
ignorant.
Crowds. They're still drawing huge crowds at exorbitant prices. So there is as bad as
I could see the upper deck at Springfield, Massachusetts. I could just see it.
Here's a perfect way to look at it. Okay, the NFL did record numbers again this weekend for some inexplicable reason, right? Or 2 weekends ago, they did.
Bro, what do you mean inexplicable reason? Did you see that Eagles game?
The Bills game was unbelievable.
Okay,
Baltimore game.
But Giants, you can see these games. However,
Cowboys.
Some of the games were terrible. Okay, but if you watch the highlights and didn't watch all the games, you looked like, wow, the NFL was really good this week, which is why the WWE is invested in the highlight culture. You don't have, if you watch a show, there's this whole slew of fans that watch the show every week, say, oh, the show sucked. It was a thing. But then the people that watch the highlights are saying, wow, the WWE looked pretty good this week.
Let me tell you something, Ben.
Because all they're showing is the best stuff.
Ben.
And like 5 to 8 minute spots. So that's what's driving their ticket. That's what's driving their fan base.
Imagine if the show was good.
Tell you something.
Imagine if the show was good, what they could charge.
But you could say that. Well, how much would it matter?
The show could be better. Yeah.
Okay, it could. But now you're talking about a small percentage of the mass amount of people that view the content.
No, because then you would deliver on the numbers you promised. They promised these numbers and they never deliver.
Let me give you a comparison. Let me give you a comparison.
But let me give you 9 years left on the deal.
Disco.
So what do they care? That's the whole thing.
So I'm going to give you an example. AAA started about 35 years ago. Okay, I was there when it started. We educated our audience to stuff that's just in the AAA universe. Good or bad, we have a following that we've, cultivated over 30 years, right?
Brand loyalty.
Old people, new people, whatever it is, but they follow whatever we do. WWE, the same thing, just like the Buffalo Bills, right? Bills Mafia. Even when they're losing, they show up. They may not sell out, but they have a lot of fans that are going to follow them no matter what, Like, I'm an Oakland A's fan. They absolutely suck, right? But I'll follow them. I'm a ride or die dude.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm a New York Giants guy, so I've been through the ringer myself.
Right. They absolutely suck. But the WWE is the same way, bro. They've cultivated a huge fan base around the world. You see these fanboys that you were telling me about that open up boxes and I don't know what they're in them or. But I was watching the other day this thing where they had like the Brady Bunch thing, like 6 guys in a thing, and Brock Lesnar came out and F5 John Cena, and they were marking out like marks that they are. Like, I don't mark out like that, but I used to mark out like that, like when the Celtics played the Lakers and we beat them. I'd go nuts. So I can't make fun of them. But they already have a huge, over 30 years, whether it's old people or new people, but they have a huge following, dude, and that cannot be denied.
Yeah, but they're pimping them out.
We're not going to go. Right. Well, that's it. That's Raw. So let's get into AEW.
Let me just tell you something about Raw. The one good thing I liked is that going into the WrestlePalooza thing, they had Cena out there, they had Punk and his wife, they had Rollins and his wife, they had the stuff with the Usos. I thought both promos were good, except the couples one was a little bit long. So, I give this show a thumbs up.
I think you need some pants like Becky Lynch. I think that you need to bring those back.
The only thing I liked on the show was the storyline progression with Bayley and Asuka and them.
You didn't like the stuff with the Usos?
I mean, you knew exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
I mean, when they're writing the things and I know what's going to happen at the end of the show, it's like I'm not interested.
What kills me is the Usos should be our Sopranos angle. We have a Samoan mob, and we're not telling any mafia inside the family stories.
Bro, they were doing a great job 2 years ago when Paulie was in there. I think he's not writing that anymore.
Could have done it. There's still room to do a lot more. There's a lot more to eat on that plate.
Right.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.